The Levite's concubine lay lifeless. A brutal crime had been committed by the men of Gibeah, a city within the tribe of Benjamin. News of this horrific act spread like wildfire through the Israelite tribes. The tribes gathered at Mizpah, their hearts heavy with grief and anger. They swore a solemn oath. No one would give their daughters in marriage to the Benjamites. This was a powerful declaration, a social and political ostracization intended to punish the entire tribe for the sins of a few. The oath was absolute, binding them together in a shared commitment to justice. The unity of Israel was paramount, but the heinous crime demanded a response. The consequences of this oath would ripple through the generations, testing their unity. The Israelites journeyed to Bethel. They wept before the Lord. Their cries echoed through the sanctuary, a symphony of sorrow and confusion. How could they uphold their oath and ensure the survival of all 12 tribes? The Benjamites were their brothers, yet their crime demanded severe consequences. The loss of the Levite's concubine was a tragedy. The brutality of the act shook them to their core. They mourned not only for her, but for the potential unraveling of their nation. They questioned their own judgment. Had they acted too rashly? Was their oath too severe? The silence of God weighed heavily upon them. They desperately needed guidance. They had come to Bethel seeking answers, a divine solution to the complex predicament they faced. They offered burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord, a desperate plea for divine intervention. Would God hear their cries? Would He offer them a way out of this moral quagmire? The Israelites inquired of the Lord, "Which of us shall go up first to battle against the Benjamites?" The Lord answered, "Judah shall go up first." This divine decree provided a sense of direction, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. The burden of leadership fell upon Judah, the largest and most powerful of the tribes. They now had a clear mandate to act. They prepared for war, knowing that they were acting in accordance with God's will. Despite the divine guidance, a deep unease lingered. They were about to wage war against their own brethren. The prospect of fratricide filled them with dread. They prayed for a swift and decisive victory, one that would minimize bloodshed and pave the way for reconciliation. The future of Israel remained uncertain. They marched towards Gibeah, their hearts heavy with trepidation. The battle against the Benjamites was fierce, and despite their superior numbers, the Israelites suffered heavy losses. The Israelites wept before the Lord until evening. They asked, "Shall we go up again to battle against the Benjamites, our brothers?" The Lord replied, "Go up against them." This reaffirmed divine support, but their hearts remained heavy. They knew that further bloodshed was inevitable. The Israelites devised a new strategy: ambush the Benjamites, feigning retreat to lure them out of the city. The plan was cunning, designed to exploit the Benjamites' overconfidence. The following day, the Israelites implemented their plan. The Benjamites, emboldened by their previous victories, fell into the trap. The ambush was successful, and the Israelites routed the Benjamites, slaughtering nearly all the men of the tribe. The near extermination of the tribe of Benjamin created a new crisis, leaving the Israelites to grapple with the unintended consequences of their actions. The Israelites had vowed at Mizpah that no one would give his daughter to a Benjamite. Now, facing the near extinction of a tribe, they were confronted with the devastating implications of their oath. They remembered that no one from Jabesh Gilead had been present at Mizpah. This oversight provided a grim opportunity. They sent 12,000 warriors to Jabesh Gilead with a chilling command: put every man, woman, and child to the sword, sparing only the virgin girls. The warriors carried out their orders with ruthless efficiency. Jabesh Gilead was destroyed, its men, women, and children slaughtered. Only 400 young virgins were spared, a grim testament to the brutal realities of ancient warfare. The 400 virgins were brought to the camp at Shiloh in Canaan. They were offered as wives to the surviving Benjamite men, a desperate attempt to salvage the tribe from extinction. The Israelites gathered at Shiloh. They realized that the 400 virgins were not enough to provide wives for all the surviving Benjamites. 200 Benjamite men remained wifeless. The elders of Israel were faced with another dilemma. How could they fulfill their oath and yet ensure the continuation of the tribe of Benjamin? The elders devised a plan. During the annual festival of the Lord at Shiloh, the young women would come out to dance in the vineyards. They instructed the remaining Benjamites to lie in wait and abduct wives from among the dancers. This plan was fraught with ethical complexities, involving deception and the violation of the young women's free will. However, the elders saw it as the only way to preserve the tribe of Benjamin without breaking their oath. It was a desperate measure born out of a difficult situation. The elders instructed the Benjamites, "Hide yourselves in the vineyards. When the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in the vineyards, rush out and each of you seize a wife for himself from among the daughters of Shiloh and go to the land of Benjamin." This plan, while morally questionable, offered a glimmer of hope for the survival of the tribe. They further advised the Benjamites on how to deal with the families of the abducted women. "If their fathers or brothers come to complain to us, we will say to them, 'Grant them to us graciously, because we did not take each man his wife in battle, neither did you give them to them. Else you would now be guilty.'" This preemptive excuse was designed to avoid further conflict. The elders were willing to condone abduction to fulfill their oath and preserve the 12 tribes. They recognized the moral ambiguity of their actions, but saw no other viable option. The future of Benjamin hung in the balance.
The annual festival arrived. The daughters of Shiloh came out to dance in the vineyards, unaware of the lurking danger.
The Benjamites, hidden among the vines, watched and waited for their opportunity. The festive atmosphere was about to be shattered.
As we danced, celebrating our faith and community, the Benjamites rushed out from their hiding places. They seized 200 women, carrying them off to the land of Benjamin. The joyful celebration turned into a scene of chaos and terror.
The families of the abducted women were distraught. They cried out for justice, demanding the return of their daughters. The elders of Israel intervened, offering the prearranged excuse, pleading with the families to grant the women to the Benjamites.
We returned to our land with our captured wives. We rebuilt our cities, which had been destroyed in the war. Life slowly began to return to normal, but the scars of the conflict remained.
The abduction of the women cast a long shadow over the fragile peace. The forced marriages were a constant reminder of the violence and desperation that had led to their union.
The women of Shiloh, torn from their families and forced into unions against their will, bore the brunt of our desperate attempt to survive.
The incident at Shiloh exposed the deep flaws within Israelite society. The oath, intended to uphold justice, had led to a series of morally questionable actions.
We rebuilt our devastated cities. We re-established our communities, attempting to create a sense of normalcy after the chaos and violence. The process of rebuilding was slow and arduous, both physically and emotionally.
The captured women from Shiloh were integrated into Benjamite society. They bore children, ensuring the continuation of the tribe. However, the circumstances of their marriages remained a source of tension and unspoken pain.
The forced unions were a constant reminder of the traumatic events that had brought us together.
The Israelites, as a whole, grappled with the aftermath of the war and the abduction. The incident forced them to confront the moral implications of their actions. Had they truly achieved justice? Or had they simply traded one injustice for another? In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. The absence of a central authority led to moral ambiguity and a lack of accountability. The story of the Benjamites highlights the fragility of unity in the absence of strong leadership. The tribes acted independently, often resorting to violence to resolve disputes. The oath at Mizpah, while intended to unite the tribes against injustice, ultimately contributed to further division and bloodshed. The lack of a king created a power vacuum, leading to conflicting interpretations of right and wrong. The story of the Benjamites serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of strong leadership, clear laws, and a shared understanding of justice.